Hey guys, just want to let you guys know, it's the evening. How are y'all doing? Look, the split pea soup came out great. Came out a little thick, Um, uh, I guess it really needed less split peas and a lot more liquid. It was still good though. I mean, once you added a lot more water to it, it actually became soup instead of like a mash. You could say I basically I made a mash. Okay. Um, but look, I wanted to do a quick story time. I want to give you guys a little bit of history on me, right? I have a disability. I think I've told you guys this before. My birth mom drank and, did things, and it left me impaired. So I have a learning disability. So I went through school, was in special education. That as a kid you don't realize, that you're different. Growing up in like elementary school, when you're a little kid in, first, second grade, you don't think that you are any different from anyone else. By the third grade, they kind of start noticing that you're different. When everyone else is doing, schoolwork and you're playing at your desk and you're not focusing, they kind of notice that kind of stuff. So when growing up, I never really thought of myself as different. I think I didn't really realize that I was much different than everyone else until probably, I want to say maybe middle school. I think is when I really started to really notice, that, hey, I'm a little bit more different than everyone else, When everyone else is having a normal English class, I'm in a class with a bunch of kids that are not learning what the regular students are learning, right? We watch a lot of movies that aren't, that you would be watching at home, right? Disney, that kind of stuff. That normal students aren't watching that kind of stuff in school. That students aren't looking up, people's names and addresses in a phone book. These kind of things you just kind of learn. You just kind of know that something's different. Then as you get a little bit older, basically say you're getting into high school, you really, I guess by high school, I want to kind of say my original 12th grade of high school. I guess right around 11th grade, I was like, I just started researching what happens to special education students when they graduate. What do they get? Do they actually get a high school diploma? No. most special ed kids don't get. They don't get a regular high school diploma. They get a piece of paper that says, thanks for doing, 12 years of school. It's not a high school diploma. It's just a, hey, you completed 12 years of school. Congratulations. If you need to go get a job, then you need to go ahead and go for your GED. So it's even more school. Or you have to go learn a trade or something like that, or you get put in a special program that helps you get a job, right? Well, I didn't want to do that. I fought long and hard to go ahead and graduate with a normal high school diploma like every other kid, right? I wanted to see, I've been wanting this for years, right? And so I thought, well, I'm going to do it, right? I tried to do it in middle school. I went to a regular English class. Obviously, I couldn't hack it. But then by high school, I was like, I got to do this. I do not want to graduate. I will work so hard. So I convinced my dad. I was like, Dad, I know I can do this. I can work hard at this. And he was like, all right, let's do it. So, I think I'm more grateful that my special education teachers heard me, but some of them, at least one of them, was behind me, rooting me on, but was also like, hey, let's put a little cushion there as a just in case, They called it inclusion classes. You are in regular classes with everyone else, but there's an extra teacher in the room that if you need extra help, he's there to help, right? Or she's there to help. Which the majority of the time, I didn't really need. Once in a while I did. But for the most part, I pushed myself to graduate. I'd study hard. I would work twice as hard as everybody else. I knew what I wanted back then, right? I basically knew that I wanted to graduate, and I wanted to graduate high school with a high school diploma. So I worked for it. I went all the way back in my 12th grade. Went all the way back to 9th grade in high school, and I started over. I did like 7 years of high school. And that's, a lot of people are like, that's really hard to believe, but I did it. I've got all of my school IDs to prove it. My original graduation, I was supposed to graduate in 2000. I didn't graduate until 2002. It took me an extra 2 years to graduate. Because of having to go back, it took it a little bit longer. But I did it. When I got done with high school, right, I walked across that stage. I was so proud. I was so happy to graduate. If I had to thank a couple of teachers for it, it would have to be Mr. Harper. He was the most encouraging teacher, because he stood behind me. He was 100% with me. Major Rigney, most of my ROTC teachers, my English teacher, Miss Lanier, a couple of the teachers, my math teachers, a couple of them, they were really, really just 100% behind me. But like I said earlier, I actually knew that there was something a little bit more different about me. So I basically knew going out and getting a job was going to be a lot harder on me. It wasn't going to be easy to find a job. It wasn't going to be easy to do my job because of my disability, right? I had to learn coping mechanisms. I had to learn how to deal with rejection in a lot more different way. I just had a lot harder time learning certain skills, okay? Math was never ever a good strong suit for me, so, dealing with money was difficult. So a lot of the places that I started out with, I stayed away from the register, right? I didn't want to do the register. So one of the very first jobs, I ever had, still being in high school, was basically working at McDonald's, Ryan's, that kind of stuff. Kmart, I want to say, was one of my first really good jobs, right, as a young person. It was retail. I learned a lot. I knew, I just had to go straighten up a bunch of shoes, and I was good. Second job was Shoe Carnival. And I want to say that was probably my longest job as a young person. I stayed there like 4 years, and I was okay with that. Four good years was a long time. I loved my job there. But that's also where I learned a couple of those stumbling blocks that was gonna forever change my life, right? I was in college, and I thought I could do college and work, and I couldn't do it. I worked a couple of jobs, to make ends meet, right? I worked at a couple of bars. I was working 3 or 4 jobs at one time, and that wore me out really, really fast, right? So most of those jobs I just wound up just quitting because I just couldn't hack it. But I stuck with Shoe Carnival. I gave up college and just said, hey, I know that there's people out there who don't do college, who just work their way up, in a company. And that's awesome. I might just do that. So I quit college, and I just went to work for Shoe Carnival, and I thought, this is going to be great. I can just work my way up, right? I was just a regular sales associate, and man, I'm going to work all these years, and before I know it, I will be a manager. Yeah, no, that didn't happen. No. I wanted it. Oh boy, did I want it. I wanted to be a manager so bad. But that was one of the things that I learned. I learned that I would never ever accomplish, which was okay. It was not okay at the time because I really, really thought I could do it, right? But that thing of money came in, right? That thing of, you know, you're going to be responsible for X amount of money, and, you know, it made my nerves unsettling. And having to count a lot of money was even more of a difficult for me, right? So I learned very, very, very early on, management was never going to be my thing. It was never going to happen. Department lead, sure. That was about as far as I ever got, was a department lead. That was the closest thing to a manager that I could get. And I figured that's as high in my career that I will ever get, is, you know, a lead. Which I was okay with. I really was. Then Katrina came along, and you know, I left Shoe Carnival, went up north, stayed with my mom for a while, came back, got my job back at Shoe Carnival, and also worked at Walmart for a while. You know, I stock shelves at night, right? Stay away from register. And like I said, you kind of learn things, you know, you kind of at least learn where your limits are, right? And one of my limits was money. Another one was time. Time management has never been my thing. But I've learned how to manage my time a little bit better as I've gotten older. You know, insecurities hit a lot, right? A lot of my insecurities with all my jobs have always been the feeling of that I'm not doing a good enough job, right? I always feel, no matter what job that I get, that I'm not doing good enough, that I could be doing better, but I don't know how to do any better than what I'm already doing. But I always have that weird insecurity that people are looking at me going, you know, like, what is she doing? Or why is she doing that way? Or, you know, could she not do that way? Or whatever, you know, there's always that little voice in the back of my head always saying, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. You aren't doing that good enough. And, you know, that's hard to shut down, right? My brain goes a mile a minute, and I just can't shut those voices away. As hard as I want, right? I always think that managers are talking about me, that my coworkers are talking about me, even if they're not, right? It's my own insecurity that I have. You know, but I've had to learn how to deal with that, right? I've had to learn how to set aside my feelings and deal with it, you know, and just sit back and be like, okay, you can do this. You can just focus on the work and don't listen to all those voices in your head. So I do, right? Then years go by, and I get a job that I finally, I can't deny I have to deal with the money, right? I get a restaurant job, and I get sick, and I pass out on the floor, and somebody steals $200-$300 out my drawer, and I get blamed for it. And the manager's like, here, you need to sign this piece of paper that basically says you stole this money. I was like, nope, you can take that piece of paper and shove it up your butt, because I ain't signing it. And I walked out. Of course, at that point, I was fired and blacklisted and can never ever go for a job at that company ever again, which is fine. You know, I wouldn't work for a company like that again, because that isn't right to do. But I never stole the money. They eventually found the manager that was stealing the money and went after him, but I was still blacklisted. You know, but that kind of put my thoughts in my head of my drawer, my money. You know, if this can happen to me where $200-300 go missing because I got sick and passed out, what else? You know, what else can happen? You know, so once again, I stayed away from register. I tried to find jobs that wouldn't do that, right? Went to certain jobs and nope, you're stuck working register, right? Go to like Dollar Trees and Family Dollars and, you know, Dollar Generals and stuff like that, and you don't have much of a choice at that point. You have to run a register or you're not going to be hired. So of course I take the jobs, and at almost every single one of those jobs somebody was stealing money out my drawer. And I kept on thinking, I'm screwing up. I'm messing up my drawers. How can I be this bad with money that I'm screwing up? I'm screwing up my drawers so bad. I'm missing 20, I'm missing 40, I'm missing $60, I'm missing $80. You know, I'm just missing money. And come find out, it was never me. I was never ever messing up my money. Because once I got to another store, Big Lots, I found out that it wasn't me. You know, none of my drawers were ever missing money. So I thought, that seems funny. So then I get another job. I'm working at Ollie's, and I worked there for 5 years. Loved working there. I only left there because they basically did my manager wrong, and I did not appreciate it. But, you know, it was more of a moral reason to leave, not a I was screwing up situation. But the management there was great. You know, all the managers that I basically worked with completely understood my situation, my issues with everything. But I was one of them people that I'm good at selling things. I'm extremely good at getting you to sign up for something. And, you know, I got that personality, that charm, I guess. I've always been told that I could sell ice to people, you know, in like Alaska, you know, where it snows all the time. You know, I'm one of them people, which is great, you know, awesome. But that didn't help me because I got stuck on register. You know, I was that girl, that perky, extra happy person that you don't want to see in the mornings when you first walk in and you might be in a grumpy mood. Well, I was that person that, in my mind, I could turn your frown right upside down, right? And so that was like my thing, right? I'm gonna try and find a way to make your day as good as possible if you are coming into my store. But I was this person that we had to do X amount of Ollie cards a day. We had to sign up so many people, and I was the one that I did that, right? I could sign you up and I would get, you know, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, you know, 50 Ollie cards, right? I was that person. I was dedicated to saying, hey, I will get you 20 today. I will get you 10. I will get you, you know. But I had a goal in mind, so I set that goal. But then there were times when, yes, I would be missing money out my drawer, but the management was so great there that my managers were like, don't fret, don't freak out, we'll find the money, and we wouldn't leave that office until we found the money, right? And most of the doggone times it was a little change, a couple of cents here or there. Never, never ever anything massive, right? It was always like under like $5. And it was just because I miscounted something or, whatever. The majority of the time, my drawers were always perfect every single time. Which to me was amazing. How can someone who's terrible with money, do this? But, I just kind of learned that, my biggest fear was dealing with the company money and losing company money, and I never ever wanted to do that. I've heard so many horror stories of people, messing all up their drawers and being fired for it, or, being let go because they were, $10 off or $5 off or whatever, and that always freaked me out, right? I was this ball of nerves every single doggone time I went in and would count my drawer, right? I'd always freak out about, what do I gotta do? And eventually I learned to kind of have a system in place for me, a little ritual of what I had to do to remember every little thing, because when you're someone like me who needs that same routine every single time where you can remember things, it makes it a lot easier, right? If I had to switch it up, it would like mess up my whole routine, and I would be like a ball of nerves and just freaking out, and it just wasn't good. But but through the years, I've learned little bitty things, little bitty things to help, right? The stuttering that you hear, a lot of people will go and say, oh, I don't hear that. But I guarantee if placed back, you will hear a number of times where I'm repeating the same word over and over and over again. And that's me stuttering, and it's okay. I sometimes have to stop and think about what I want to say before I even say it, my dad used to always say, oh, there's nothing wrong with you, you're just a normal person, you're just like everybody else, you're not disabled. And it's like, if you only knew, And I used to tell him all the time, like, Dad, you really just, I get it, I'm your little girl, and you don't ever want to think that anything's wrong with me, but there is, like, there really is. My mind is like a bomb field just waiting to go off here and there, with just nerves and anxiousness, and just, me thinking all the time that somebody's talking about me, or that I'm not doing a good enough job, or, whatever, me just freaking out, little freakouts here and there. I've had times where my managers had to pull me in the office and calm me down, because I just was like, I'd zone out, at work, just because the idea I could not get out my head, that, hey, I'm not doing a good enough job, and it would just show, and my manager would be like, hey, relax, you're good, we can snap you out of this, you're doing a good job. That little bit of reassurance that I'm doing okay, it may, some people may think, you know, why do you need that? You know, why do you need reassurance? It's because of the idea, my mind constantly thinks that I'm not doing a good job. Even if I am doing a good job, you know, my mind will constantly tell me, you know, you didn't pick up that trash good enough. You didn't clean that good enough, or you didn't count that enough. You know, you need to go back and recount it, because you could be missing that penny, or that nickel, or that dime, or that dollar. You know, you need to wipe down that table, you know, because there might be an extra speck on it, or whatever. But, you know, I'm not exactly sure how everybody else is in the world. You know, if this is just a normal thing for everybody, or if it's just me. But I've learned how to cope. I've learned how to manage all of my emotions, and how not to try and think so much where I don't stutter as bad, because my stuttering can get really, really bad at times, where I just repeat the same word because I can't think of another word or another way to say what I gotta say. I won't think about what I'm saying, and I just say what I gotta say, and it sounds like complete gibberish that's just coming out my mouth. And it's not, you know, I'm not the best speller. You know, I have just so many different things that most people are like, well, that's everybody. No, it's twice as hard on me. You know, and yeah, most people could easily be like, well, you know, you put way too much pressure on yourself. I have to. You know, I can't sit down there and just go, oh, it's just normal. You know, it's just most people. No, I had to think twice as hard about what I'm doing when I'm doing it, where I don't mess up, where I don't forget what I have to do. You know, I have to have a routine, or, you know, I will forget what I have to do. Memorizing numbers is, you know, it's awful. It's awful for me, because I'm terrible at it, you know. But I try, you know, at least I'm trying, right? But I just kind of wanted to give you guys a little insight into who I am and what I do, and how I think. Just a little something, you know. This is me not being able to go to sleep at 10 o'clock at night, because my mind can't shut down. So I thought, hey, let me just make a video and give you guys a little history on me. I guess this could be history part 1, right? Yeah, so I think that'll be it for tonight. If you want, leave a comment down below. If it's up to you guys, you don't have to. But I do like to read y'all's comments. That's it is encouraging, you know. It's very, very encouraging. So I do thank everybody who's supporting me and you know, encouraging me. I know sometimes it seems, or it could be boring because I'm always washing dishes, or, you know, whatever, but it'll get better in time. You know, I will get the hang of this whole YouTube thing, and, you know, maybe I can take y'all along, you know, shopping, or, you know, we could do more hauls if you guys like that. The grocery hauls. So, but that will be it for tonight. We'll do another one of these again, maybe later. You know, maybe I'll give you guys another history lesson into my life. So, but I guess I probably should go take some melatonin and try and go to sleep. Got church in the morning. So, you know, you guys enjoy the videos. I hope that what I'm doing is encouraging you guys and helping you guys figure out a few things. You know, how to start over if you are. So, like I said, you guys have a good night. Bye.